Hey everybody, it's Stephen GetMoneyMyrick here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about 5 tips for beginners for anybody that's interested in picking up Gods Unchained. This is a video designed for somebody that is new to the game and who wants to get up to speed as quickly as possible. These are 5 things I wish I knew, and so if you're a new player, I think this is really going to appeal to you. If you're a veteran player, you probably know all this stuff already, but you might learn a thing or two as well. I've seen an uptick in increase in people wanting to play this game, and I thought that making this video would help a lot of new players understand how the game works. I made a few previous videos where I talked about some things about Gods Unchained, and you're welcome to check those out as well. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel. But this is really going to be dedicated for beginners, and it's going to be stuff that I think is going to be very, very helpful for you. So the first item I wanted to discuss was actually just improving your gameplay. I feel like this is something that gets ignored quite a bit when you're talking about how to jump into a game. But obviously, if your goal is to improve at the game, part of that is going to be improving your gameplay knowledge. And some people coming into this game, if you're coming from Hearthstone, this game is very similar and you're going to fit right in and feel real comfortable. Similarly, if you're in Magic the Gathering, there's a lot of similar concepts. But if you're new to trading card games, or if you're new to card games in general, a lot of these concepts may be new to you. So I just wanted to touch on them really quickly. Because this video is so short, I'm not going to really go into any detail specifically. But concepts like tempo, board control, attacking face, playing on curve, these are all things that if you don't know what they mean, you definitely want to be looking them up in order to increase your knowledge on gameplay. One of the biggest tips I can give is that if you are new, get comfortable with this idea of controlling the board. Because of the way that Gods Unchained works, you are at an extreme advantage if you are controlling the board, meaning you get to decide which of your creatures attack into the opponent's creatures. And so an example of this might be if your opponent has a 3/3 and a 1/4 on their board, and you have a creature that has become a 3/1. It's got 3 attack and 1 defense, and it's your attack. You're going to probably want to trade your 3/1 for your opponent's 3/3, because if you pass the turn to them, they're going to be able to take this 1/4 and they're going to be able to kill your creature, and so you'll have nothing left on the board. Meanwhile, this Marshwalker will stick around and will keep causing you problems for the rest of the match. So you do have to always be making this decision of, am I attacking my opponent's creatures or am I attacking their face? Obviously, the end game of the end goal of the game is to reduce your opponent's life total from 30 down to nothing. But if you're not controlling the board, they are choosing how attacks happen. You have lost control of the game. So you really want to try and take control of the board. You can also do it through spells, like this Campure Barrage deals 4 damage to enemy creature. So that's just something to keep in mind, is really getting comfortable with this idea of controlling the board. Also, another really easy tip is that try to play on curve. So that means that on turn 2, when you have 2 mana, try to play a 2-drop. On turn 3, when you have 3 mana, try to play a 3-drop. On turn 4, try to play 2 2-drops or 1 4-drop. In general, if you're not sure which card to play, making the most use out of your mana is going to be, especially at the early stages, one of the best things you can be doing. The second tip I want to give is that when you start playing, you will be given 6 starter decks. 1 for every one of the gods, and you're more than welcome to try out a god, see what you like, see what skills there are. But what I will strongly recommend is that after a game or two, and maybe immediately, you look at these 7 drops and 8 drops that come in the starter decks, and I would take those out. You can just click on them and remove them from your deck, and I would go through and I would just add cards that are instead 1 mana creatures, 2 mana creatures, because games of Gods Unchained don't last too long, and it takes a lot of effort to get to 7 or 8 mana. So I would strongly recommend doing that. It's just, they're clogging up your hands. So if you're a new player and you don't know which cards to buy yet, maybe you're intimidated by the marketplace, that is the first thing I would do, is just get rid of any really large creatures in your decks. Now you've played a few games and you've tried out some heroes maybe, and you're looking at what kind of deck you want to make, and it's pretty overwhelming. And I have 2 websites here that are going to really, really help you out, and you're going to want to get very comfortable with them if you're playing Gods Unchained. The first one is gudex.com, and what I like to do is I like to go into the meta here, and I can show you some very quick strats you can use in order to find some decks that might be good for you as a beginner. One is that you can view matchups, and it shows you some of the more common decks that are being played and what the matchups are, and you can kind of click on a deck and see an example of these decks and what the highest level of players are playing. But what I'd like to do if I was a new player is I'd go over to this top decks here. I would select the god you're interested in playing. Maybe you're interested in playing a war god, for example, like me, and I would select a high rank, maybe mythic, G+ to mythic, but we'll go ahead and do mythic. And then I would sort over here in this column by estimate price. And you can see that this is somebody that's in a mythic ranking that is at a 78.8% win rate with 33 matches, and their deck is only 0.0151 ETH. And so this is an example of a deck that you could start looking at building that is pretty easy and is able to get results within Mythic. It may not be the best deck within Mythic, and I'm not saying it is, but it gives you a very good understanding of what kind of cards you should be targeting when you want to improve your decks. Gods Unchained also has a player stats section where you can put in a player's name, and this will be anybody and their username. And you can track your own progress and how you're doing in the Blessings of the Gods event. I haven't played any matches yet this week. It'll also track your progress in ranked when the ranked event is up for the weekend. I'll show you how you're doing with your decks. So there's just a lot of really helpful information on the gudex.com. The second website you're really going to want to know is tokentrove.com. The Immutable X website really honestly sucks. It's not very intuitive. It's not easy to filter things by, but Token Trove is awesome. You can click on Gods Unchained here. It'll show you the most recent listings. You can click on a set. You can type in a card. For example, this Finian Fruit Bearer that just got listed, right? And you can click on this card and you can see exactly what is on the marketplace. You can quickly buy and list cards. You can see the price history of cards, so you can idea if you're buying at the peak of a card or if you're buying at the bottom. I'm just showing off some expensive cards here like Pyramid Warden. So it will show you that. You also can go in settings up here and you can convert it between ETH and USD, whichever one you're more comfortable with viewing card prices in. You can also click on the My Account button and it'll show you every card you have on the blockchain, and it'll show you the values of those cards, and you can easily, list any cards you own. When you go to list, it'll give you an option to list as the lowest if you want to try and cut the floor a little bit and get it sold quickly for liquidity. So Token Trove is a very good website. You also can, if you own the card, there will be a little button down here that says transfer, and if you want to send your card to another wallet, maybe a friend's wallet, maybe another wallet you have, you can do it completely free without gas, because Immutable X doesn't use gas and doesn't have fees for making trades within Gods Unchained, which is awesome. So definitely you want to learn these two websites. The fourth item I want to talk about is card quality, because I know when I started playing it was really confusing to me about how it all tied together. Basically, as you level up, you're going to earn these core packs, and these core packs that you get are going to be what is called a plain rarity level, which means they exist on your account, but they don't exist on the blockchain yet. You can't sell them, you can't transfer them. In order to do that, your cards need to be at least a meteorite quality. And as you can tell by this image here, you need to combine at least 2 playing cards plus some flux, which is an in-game currency that you earn, in order to basically mint your cards that you have, and then that way you can trade them on the blockchain. You can still play with them, but you cannot actually sell them. So anything you're earning from those core packs is going to be that way. And as you move up, you can see how you require more copies of a card and how that rarity increases. That 5 meteorites to make a shadow, 5 shadows to make a gold, 5 golds to make a diamond, right? So it obviously requires a lot more copies of the cards. Right now there aren't any direct benefits for having that. It's just bling factor, and the cards obviously cost a lot more. Long term, they've kind of implied that if your deck contains more higher quality cards, that we may get more gods rewards, more in-game currency. But right now there's no reason to get them. Any pack that you open will automatically have a meteorite quality and could have higher. So if you actually purchase packs directly through Gods Unchained from their website, you will get meteorite and you'll be able to sell those cards immediately. But any core packs you open, those will be neutral quality cards. As an example here, I've went into the Forge and you can see that I have 3 copies of a neutral Blight Bomb. I could use 20 Flux, 0.1 Gods, and these 2 copies to get a meteorite Blight Bomb. Right now, they have not released the ability to make shadow versions or gold versions of everything. You can just go from plain to meteorite. And in general, you just want to be aware of how much the value of the Gods currency is versus how much this card is selling for, to figure out if that's something that actually makes sense for you. I have not actually fused any cards yet because of the cost of giving up the Gods versus how much the cards are. But obviously, if you have multiple copies of an epic that you don't need anymore, that maybe sells for $20, it could make sense in order to fuse them in the Forge and get them on the blockchain and get them sold. The final item I wanted to do is just a few things about gameplay that are a little unique to Gods Unchained. One thing is you really want to make sure to pay attention if you're going first or not. It's not real obvious to tell after you select if you're going first or second. You can technically look at these mana crystals in the corners to figure out if you're going first or second. I personally find them hard to check. You also get a lot of mulligans within Gods Unchained. And in general, when I'm going first, I like to try and maybe get a 2 drops and a 3 drops. So we'll keep this because we will have this mana crystal here, which allows us to play a 2 drop on turn 1. So you can play this, and now you can see I can put out a 2 drop. That is something that's unique, and it's the way that Gods Unchained deals with imbalances between the player that goes first and the player that goes second. You can see that if you go second, you start with 3, which means you could play a 2 drop on turn 1, a 3 drop on turn 2, and a 4 drop on turn 3 in order to try and catch up because you are behind on the board. The other thing I wanted to call out is that there's this concept called favor and the sanctum, and favor will be this number down here. Right now I have 0 because I haven't done anything, but when you have favor, you're able to spend it within the sanctum. This is another unique thing that Gods Unchained does. Basically, these cards cost 15 favor. So it's something that I ignored for a long period of time. I was kind of overwhelmed and confused by it, but it's really not that complicated. Basically, once you have enough favor, you're able to come in here and you're able to choose any one of these 3 cards, spend the favor, and you're able to get those cards and add them to your hand. And then your opponent's able to do the same. I like to wait and see what my opponent is at before I choose which card I need. For example, if I'm at 15 favor and they're at 0 still, or they're really low and they're not going to get something next turn, I'll wait until my next turn to actually choose which card I want, to pick which card makes the most sense for me in my situation. And there you have it. Those are 5 tips I have for any beginner in Gods Unchained. I will have some links in the description below if you're interested in some more resources. Also have my referral code down there. If you're signing up for the first time, you can go ahead and put my referral code. I'll get a small percentage of any packs that you may buy in the future, I believe, from that. But really, I just made this video to help people and help answer questions. If you have any questions at all, obviously leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please make sure to like it and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.